My name is Isabella Chen, and I was 31 years old when I found out my cousin Marcus had manipulated our dying grandmother into changing her will. We were sitting in the lawyer's office, 3 days after Grandma Rose's funeral, when the reading began. I expected to inherit her lake house, the place where I had spent every summer of my childhood, where I had taken care of her for the last 2 years of her life. Instead, the lawyer read that Marcus inherited everything. The house worth $1.2 million, her savings of $400,000, her art collection, even her jewelry. I got nothing. Not a single photograph. Marcus sat across from me with this smug little smile, his perfectly tailored suit making him look like he had already sold everything. I guess Grandma knew who really cared about her, he said. The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. My hands were shaking with rage. But I did not scream. I did not cry. I just looked at Marcus and said, "When did she sign this will?" The lawyer checked the documents. 3 weeks before her death. I smiled. That is interesting. Because 3 weeks before her death, Grandma had late-stage dementia and could not remember my name. But somehow she remembered to leave everything to you. Marcus's smile faltered. She had good days and bad days. This was a good day. We will see about that, I said. I stood up and walked out of that office. By the time I reached my car, I had already started planning how to take back everything he stole. Let me tell you about Marcus. We grew up together, 2 cousins in a family that loved to compare us. Marcus was the golden child, smart, charming, always knew what to say. I was the quiet one, the one who actually showed up when people needed help. When Grandma Rose got sick 5 years ago, Marcus visited twice. Twice in 5 years. He brought flowers and took selfies with her and posted them on social media with captions about family being everything. Then he left and did not call for months. I was there every week. I drove 4 hours round trip to cook her meals, help her bathe, organize her medications. When she got worse and could not live alone anymore, I moved into her lake house for 2 years. I quit my job. I gave up my apartment. I took care of her 24 hours a day while Marcus sent occasional texts asking how she was doing. He never offered to help. Never sent money. Never spent a single night caring for the woman who raised him when his parents died. But somehow, 3 weeks before she died, when her mind was so far gone she thought I was her sister who died in 1987, Marcus showed up with a new will and 2 witnesses. And somehow that will was legal. I sat in my car outside the lawyer's office and called the one person I knew could help me. My best friend Jessica, who happens to be an estate litigation attorney. "Jess," I said, my voice shaking. "I need you to help me destroy my cousin." Jessica met me at a coffee shop an hour later. I told her everything. The years of care, the dementia diagnosis, the new will signed 3 weeks before death. She listened without interrupting, taking notes on her legal pad. When I finished, she looked up. "Isabella, do you have documentation of her dementia diagnosis?" "Yes. Medical records, doctor's notes, everything." Her neurologist said she had the cognitive function of a 5-year-old at the end. Jessica nodded. "Do you have proof you were her primary caregiver?" 2 years of receipts for groceries, medications, household expenses. All charged to my credit card because she could not manage money anymore. I have photos, videos, text messages to family members asking for help that Marcus never answered. Good. Do you know who witnessed the will? I pulled out my phone and showed her the copy the lawyer had given me. Laura Price and Kevin Nguyen. I do not recognize either name. Jessica's eyes narrowed. I will find out who they are. Isabella, I need to ask you something. Are you prepared for this to get ugly? Marcus is not going to give up that inheritance without a fight. He is going to say terrible things about you. He is going to try to make you look like the greedy one. I thought about Marcus's smug smile in that office. About Grandma's lake house that he was probably already planning to sell. About the 2 years I spent caring for her while he collected likes on Instagram. Let it get ugly, I said. I want him to pay for what he did. Jessica spent the next week investigating. She pulled court records, ran background checks, and interviewed potential witnesses. What she found was damning. Laura Price and Kevin Nguyen were not family friends or long-term acquaintances of Grandma Rose. They were employees at Marcus's real estate company. Laura worked in his office as a receptionist. Kevin was a junior agent. They had never met my grandmother before the day they witnessed her will. "This is fraud," Jessica said when she called me with the news. Marcus brought his own employees to witness a will for someone who could not understand what she was signing. That is elder abuse. That is undue influence. We are not just going to contest this will, Isabella. We are going to file criminal charges. I felt something cold and hard settle in my chest. Will that work? Can we actually prove it? We have her medical records showing severe dementia. We have 2 witnesses who work for Marcus and have a financial interest in staying on his good side. We have the fact that you were the primary caregiver and Marcus was absent for years. And I am betting when we depose those witnesses, at least one of them is going to crack. Jessica paused. But Isabella, I need you to be prepared. This is going to take months, maybe years. It is going to cost money. And Marcus is going to fight back. I do not care, I said. I watched my grandmother die slowly while he posted vacation photos. He does not get to steal from her corpse. We filed the will contest 2 weeks later. The petition was 30 pages long, detailing every instance of Marcus's neglect, every piece of evidence showing Grandma's incapacity, every red flag about the witnesses. We also filed a police report for elder abuse and fraud. The news hit Marcus like a bomb. He called me at midnight, screaming. "You ungrateful bitch. How dare you accuse me of fraud?" I loved Grandma. I put him on speaker so Jessica could hear. She was sitting across from me at my kitchen table, recording everything. "You loved her so much you visited her twice in 5 years, I said calmly. You loved her so much you let me quit my job to take care of her alone. You loved her so much you showed up when she was dying and got her to sign paperwork she could not understand. She understood perfectly. She wanted me to have the house because I am going to keep it in the family. You are selling it," I said. "I already saw the listing. You put it on the market 3 days after her funeral." There was silence. Then Marcus's voice turned cold. "You are never going to win this, Isabella. I have lawyers. I have money. I have that signed will. You have nothing but jealousy." "We will see," I said, and hung up. Jessica smiled. "He just admitted he is selling the house. That destroys his argument about keeping it in the family. We are going to use that recording." I felt a grim satisfaction. Marcus was arrogant, and arrogance makes people sloppy. The deposition of Laura Price happened 3 months later. She was nervous, fidgeting with her rings, avoiding eye contact. Jessica started with simple questions. How long had she worked for Marcus? 2 years. What was her relationship with Rose Chen? She had never met her before. Why did Marcus ask her to witness the will? He said he needed 2 witnesses for his grandmother's estate planning. Did you know Rose Chen had dementia? Jessica asked. Laura hesitated. Marcus said she was having some memory issues, but she was fine that day. Define fine. Could she tell you her full name? Her address? The date? Laura looked at Marcus's lawyer, who was sitting stone-faced. She seemed confused. But Marcus said she always got confused around new people. Did she read the will before signing it? I do not think so. Marcus kind of explained it to her. So you witnessed a woman with dementia sign a legal document she did not read, at the request of your boss, who stood to inherit over $1 million. Does that seem ethical to you, Ms. Price? Laura's eyes filled with tears. I did not know. I swear I did not know it was wrong. Marcus said it was normal. That families do this all the time. She broke. Completely broke. Started crying and apologizing and saying she was scared she would lose her job if she did not help him. Jessica got it all on record. Every admission. Every detail. When the deposition ended, Marcus's lawyer looked like he wanted to throw up. Kevin Nguyen's deposition was even worse for Marcus. Kevin did not cry. He was angry. Marcus told me this was a standard estate document, he said. He told me his grandmother wanted to leave him the house because he was going to take care of it. He made it sound legitimate. Did Rose Chen seem capable of understanding what she was signing? Jessica asked. No, Kevin said flatly. She kept calling Marcus by a different name. She thought it was 1995. She asked where her husband was, and Marcus told me her husband died in 2003. But Marcus kept telling her to sign here, and she did because she trusted him. Did you feel uncomfortable? Yes. But Marcus is my boss. He implied my job depended on helping him. I needed the job. I have student loans. Jessica leaned forward. Kevin, you understand you participated in fraud. I know that now, he said. That is why I am telling you everything. Marcus used me. He used Laura. He used his dying grandmother. I want that on record. Marcus's case was falling apart. His own witnesses were testifying against him. But he still had one card to play, the will itself. It was signed, notarized, technically legal. We needed to prove Grandma lacked mental capacity at the time of signing. That meant expert testimony. We hired Dr. Sarah Kim, a neurologist who specialized in dementia cases. She reviewed all of Grandma Rose's medical records, brain scans, and cognitive assessments from the 2 years before her death. Her conclusion was unequivocal. Rose Chen had severe Alzheimer's disease. Based on her MRI from 1 month before the will was signed, she had extensive brain atrophy consistent with late-stage dementia. Based on her cognitive testing, she scored a 6 out of 30 on the mini-mental state examination. That is profound impairment. She would not have been able to understand the nature and extent of her property, let alone make reasoned decisions about its disposition. Dr. Kim prepared a detailed report. In it, she stated that in her medical opinion, Rose Chen lacked testamentary capacity at the time the will was signed. She could not have understood what she was signing. The will was invalid. We submitted the report to the court. Marcus's lawyers tried to fight back. They hired their own expert, a doctor who had never examined Grandma Rose, who looked at the same records and concluded she might have had periods of lucidity. But in his deposition, even he admitted that someone with her level of brain damage would have difficulty understanding complex legal documents. The judge scheduled a hearing. 6 months after I walked out of that first lawyer's office, we were finally going to trial. The courtroom was cold and sterile. Marcus sat at one table with his 2 lawyers, both in expensive suits, both looking confident. I sat at the other table with Jessica, wearing the same black dress I wore to Grandma's funeral. The judge was a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes and no patience for nonsense. She read through all the evidence in silence. The medical records. The depositions. The expert testimony. The recording of Marcus admitting he was selling the house. Then she looked up. Mr. Marcus Chen, I have some questions for you. Marcus stood, smoothing his tie. Yes, Your Honor. You visited your grandmother twice in 5 years while she was ill, correct? I visited when I could. I have a demanding career. But you had time to bring a new will to her bedside 3 weeks before her death? I wanted to make sure her affairs were in order. And it is purely coincidental that this new will left you everything and your cousin, who provided years of care, nothing? Marcus shifted. My grandmother made her own choices. Did she? The judge held up Dr. Kim's report. Because according to this neurologist, your grandmother had the cognitive function of a young child. She could not dress herself. She could not remember her own daughter's name. But you expect this court to believe she understood she was signing away over $1 million to you? Marcus's lawyer jumped in. Your Honor, we have the signed will. It was properly witnessed and notarized. By Mr. Chen's employees, the judge said coldly. Who have both testified they felt coerced and that Ms. Rose Chen appeared confused. The judge set down the papers. I am ruling the will invalid. The courtroom erupted. Marcus lunged out of his seat. This is insane. That is my inheritance. She wanted me to have it. The judge banged her gavel. Mr. Chen, sit down or I will hold you in contempt. Marcus sat, his face red, his hands clenched. The will signed 3 weeks before Rose Chen's death is hereby declared invalid due to lack of testamentary capacity and undue influence. The previous will, dated 12 years prior, will be reinstated as the valid last will and testament. I felt Jessica grab my hand under the table. The previous will. The one Grandma had made when she was still healthy. The one that left the lake house to me and split her savings equally between Marcus and me. The one that reflected her actual wishes before Marcus manipulated her. The judge continued. Furthermore, I am referring this case to the district attorney for potential criminal prosecution of elder abuse and fraud. Mr. Chen, you may face criminal charges. Marcus's lawyers were scrambling, whispering urgently. Marcus looked at me across the courtroom, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. This is not over, he mouthed. I smiled. Yes, it is. The judge dismissed us. As we walked out, reporters were waiting. News of the case had leaked, and suddenly everyone wanted to know about the grandson who stole from his dying grandmother. The headlines the next day were brutal. Real estate mogul accused of defrauding dementia-stricken grandmother. Grandson faces criminal charges for elder abuse. Will contest exposes family betrayal. Marcus's face was plastered across every news site, his real estate company's reputation in ruins. Within a week, 3 of his biggest clients pulled their contracts. His business partners started distancing themselves. The state real estate board opened an investigation into his license. Everything he had built was collapsing. And I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. He called me again, 2 weeks after the court decision. This time his voice was not angry. It was desperate. Isabella, please. You have to help me. The DA is pressing charges. I could go to prison. I could lose everything. You mean like you tried to make me lose everything? I asked. I am sorry. I made a mistake. I was not thinking clearly. I was in debt and I panicked and I thought Grandma would not mind and, she would have minded, I interrupted. She told me 100 times she wanted me to have the lake house. She wanted me to keep it in the family, to bring my children there someday like she brought us. You knew that. You just did not care. I will make it right, Marcus begged. I will give you my half of the savings. I will publicly apologize. Just please, drop the criminal charges. I cannot drop them, I said. The state filed them. It is out of my hands now. That was not entirely true. I could have asked the DA to reduce the charges. I could have shown mercy. But I did not want to. The criminal trial took 8 months. Marcus tried every legal maneuver to avoid it. His lawyers filed motions to dismiss, motions to suppress evidence, motions for continuances. Nothing worked. The evidence was overwhelming. Laura and Kevin both testified against him, detailing how he pressured them to witness a will they knew was wrong. Dr. Kim explained the medical impossibility of Grandma having capacity. I testified about the 2 years I spent caring for her, showing photos and videos of her in her final months, barely able to speak, needing help with everything. The jury watched a video I had taken 1 week before the will was signed. In it, Grandma Rose was sitting in her wheelchair, staring blankly at the wall. I asked her simple questions. Grandma, what is my name? Silence. Grandma, where are we? Silence. Grandma, do you know what year it is? She looked at me with empty eyes and said, is it time for school? She thought she was a child. 1 week later, Marcus had her sign legal documents. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. They found Marcus guilty of elder abuse, fraud, and undue influence. The judge sentenced him to 18 months in prison and ordered him to pay restitution of $50,000 for emotional distress and legal fees. As they led him away in handcuffs, Marcus looked at me one last time. "I hope you are happy," he said. "I am," I replied. And I meant it. The lake house became mine officially 6 weeks after Marcus went to prison. I stood on the porch where I used to sit with Grandma Rose, looking out at the water that reflected the sunset in gold and pink. The house needed work. It had been neglected during her final years when she could not maintain it. But it was mine. My sanctuary. My inheritance. Not because I manipulated or stole or lied. Because I showed up. Because I cared. I spent the next year renovating it slowly. I repainted the kitchen in the soft yellow Grandma loved. I repaired the dock where we used to fish. I planted roses in the garden, the same ones she had grown for 50 years. With every repair, I felt her presence. I felt like I was honoring her memory the way Marcus never could. People asked me if I felt guilty about Marcus going to prison. Family members said I should have forgiven him, that Grandma would have wanted us to reconcile. I always gave them the same answer. Grandma wanted someone to protect her. I did that. Even after her death. Marcus served 14 months. He got out early for good behavior. His real estate license was revoked. His business closed. He moved to another state and got a job in sales. We have not spoken since the trial. I do not plan to. 5 years have passed since the trial. I am 36 now. I work remotely as a software engineer, living full-time in the lake house that is now worth over $2 million. I renovated it beautifully, keeping Grandma's spirit alive in every room while making it my own. On the mantle, I keep a photo of her from when she was young, vibrant, full of life. Next to it is the final letter she wrote me, before the dementia took her ability to write. It says, "Isabella, you have been my light in the darkness. Never let anyone dim that light. The house is yours. Fill it with love." Marcus tried to take that from me. He tried to erase her wishes and profit from her death. He failed. Last month, I got a letter forwarded from my old address. It was from Marcus. The envelope was wrinkled, the handwriting shaky. I almost threw it away without reading it. But curiosity won. Inside was a single page. "Isabella, I know you will probably never forgive me. I do not blame you. What I did was unforgivable. I was drowning in debt and I saw an opportunity and I took it without thinking about what it would do to you or to Grandma's memory. I have spent 5 years thinking about it. About how I let greed destroy our family. I do not expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I am sorry. I hope the lake house brings you happiness. Grandma would be glad it is yours. Marcus." I read the letter 3 times. Part of me wanted to feel something, sympathy, or forgiveness or closure. But I felt nothing. The apology was 5 years too late. He was sorry he got caught, sorry he lost everything. But he was not sorry for what he did to Grandma. Not really. I folded the letter and put it in a drawer. Then I walked out onto the porch with my coffee and watched the sunrise over the lake. The water was calm, glass smooth, reflecting the pink and orange sky. This is what Grandma wanted me to see every morning. This peace. This beauty. This home. Marcus never understood that the house was not about money. It was about love. About family. About the memories built over decades. He saw dollar signs. I saw home. That is why he lost. People always ask me if I would do it all again. If I would spend 2 years caring for someone with dementia, knowing what it would cost me financially and emotionally. If I would fight a legal battle for years to reclaim what was stolen. My answer is always yes. Because in the end, I did not just win back a house. I won back my integrity. I proved that showing up matters. That caring for people when they are vulnerable matters. That protecting their wishes matters. Marcus thought he could steal my inheritance. But he could not steal what really mattered. The memories. The love. The knowledge that I did right by someone I loved. Last summer, I invited the entire family to the lake house for a reunion. Everyone came except Marcus. We spent a week swimming, cooking, telling stories about Grandma Rose. My aunt, Grandma's daughter, pulled me aside on the last day. "Your grandmother would be so proud of you," she said, tears in her eyes. "Not just for fighting for the house. For keeping it alive. For making it a place where family can gather again." I hugged her tight. That was what I wanted. Not revenge. Not victory. Just to honor Grandma's memory by doing what she always did, bringing family together. On the final night, we all gathered on the porch. Someone suggested we share our favorite Grandma Rose memory. One by one, people told stories. About her cooking, her laugh, her fierce love for all of us. When it was my turn, I told them about the last conversation I had with her when she was still lucid. It was 4 years before she died. We were sitting on this same porch. She took my hand and said, "Isabella, promise me something. When I am gone, do not let anyone take this place from you. It is yours. It has always been yours. You are the one who will keep it filled with love." I promised her that day. And I kept that promise. Even when it meant destroying my relationship with Marcus. Even when it meant years of legal battles. Even when people called me greedy or vindictive. I kept my promise. After everyone left, I sat alone on the porch in the darkness. The lake was quiet, just the gentle sound of water lapping against the dock. I thought about everything that had happened. The betrayal. The fight. The victory. And I realized something. I did not destroy Marcus's life. He destroyed his own life. He made the choice to manipulate a dying woman. He made the choice to forge ahead with a fraudulent will. He made the choice to fight me in court instead of admitting what he had done. Every consequence he faced was the direct result of his own actions. I just refused to be his victim. People confuse justice with revenge. They think because I fought back, because I did not forgive easily, I was seeking revenge. But revenge is about hurting someone for hurting you. Justice is about making sure people face consequences for their actions. I did not send Marcus to prison because I wanted him to suffer. I sent him to prison because what he did was criminal and he needed to pay for it. There is a difference. A big difference. And I will never apologize for seeking justice. The lake house is different now. It is not just Grandma's house anymore. It is mine. I painted the guest room a deep blue. I added a home office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the water. I planted a vegetable garden where Grandma used to grow tomatoes. But I kept her room exactly as it was. Her quilt on the bed. Her books on the shelf. Her reading glasses on the nightstand. Sometimes I sit in there and talk to her. I tell her about my life, about the renovations, about the family gatherings. I tell her I kept my promise. I imagine her smiling, proud, at peace knowing her house is loved. Marcus will never have that peace. He will spend the rest of his life knowing he betrayed family, got caught, and lost everything. That is his burden to carry. Not mine. My burden was caring for Grandma when no one else would. Fighting for her wishes when no one else did. And now that burden has become my greatest blessing. This house, this life, this peace. Worth every second of the fight. Last week, I got a call from a woman named Jennifer. She found my story online and wanted to talk. Her situation was eerily similar, a family member with dementia, a relative swooping in at the end with a new will, a feeling of helplessness and betrayal. "I do not know what to do," she said, her voice breaking. "The lawyers say it is too hard to prove. That I should just accept it and move on. But it is not right. It is not what my father wanted." I told her everything. How to document cognitive decline. How to find the right lawyer. How to prepare for a long fight. How to stand firm when everyone tells you to give up. "It is going to be hard," I said. "People are going to call you greedy. They are going to say you are tearing the family apart. But if you know in your heart that what happened was wrong, you have to fight. She thanked me, crying. I thought I was crazy. Everyone is acting like I am the problem. You are not crazy, I said. You are right. And sometimes being right means being alone. But in the end, you will know you did the right thing. That matters more than anything. I gave her Jessica's contact information. Told her to fight hard and fight smart. Because people like Marcus exist everywhere. People who see vulnerable elderly relatives as opportunities. As ATMs to be drained. And if good people do not fight back, they win. My name is Isabella Chen. I am 36 years old. I live in a lake house worth $2 million that my cousin tried to steal from my dying grandmother. I spent 2 years caring for her when everyone else disappeared. I spent 3 years fighting in court to overturn a fraudulent will. I watched my cousin go to prison for elder abuse. And I have no regrets. Not one. People say I should have forgiven Marcus. That family is more important than money. But those people do not understand. This was never about money. It was about protecting someone who could not protect herself. It was about honoring promises made to a dying woman. It was about refusing to let someone profit from abuse. Marcus did not just try to steal money. He tried to steal Grandma's voice. Her wishes. Her legacy. He tried to erase 2 years of my sacrifice like it meant nothing. He failed. And now he knows that some people cannot be manipulated. Cannot be bullied. Cannot be made to disappear quietly. I am one of those people. And if you are listening to this story and you are facing something similar, I want you to know, you are not alone. You are not crazy. You are not greedy for wanting what is rightfully yours. Fight back. Document everything. Get the right lawyer. Do not give up. Because in the end, justice is worth every second of the struggle. My grandmother taught me that. And every morning, when I wake up in this beautiful house and watch the sun rise over the lake she loved, I remember why I fought so hard. Not for money. Not for revenge. But for love. For memory. For her. And I would do it all over again.